Chapter 96. The proposer of the great plan that was to conquer the empire was the chair of the secretariat named Sun Tzu. "Noble sir, expound your excellent scheme," said the ruler of Wei. And Sun Tzu said, "When your great progenitor, Emperor Cao, first got Zhang Lu, he was at a critical stage in his career, but thenceforward all went well. He used to say the land of Nanjing is really a natural hell. In the Zai Valley there are 150 miles of rocks and caves, so that it is an impossible country for an army. If Wei be denuded of soldiers in order to conquer Shu, then for sure we shall be invaded by Wu on the east. My advice is to divide the army among the various generals and appoint each a place of strategic value to hold, and let them train their forces. In a few years the Middle Land will be prosperous and wealthy, while the other two, Shu and Wu, will have been reduced by mutual quarrels and will fall an easy prey. I hope your Majesty will consider whether this is not a superior plan." "What does the general think?" said Cao Rui to Sima Yi. He replied, "Chairman Sun Tzu says well." So Cao Rui bade Sima Yi draw up a scheme of defense and station the soldiers, leaving Guo Huai and Zhang He to guard Chang'an. And having rewarded the army, the ruler of Wei returned to Luoyang. When Zhu Jiang got back to Hanzhong, and missed Zhao Zilong and Deng Zhai, the only two generals who had not arrived, he was sad at heart and bade Guanxing and Zhang Bao go back to afford them assistance. However, before the reinforcing parties could leave, the missing men arrived. Furthermore, they came with their army in excellent condition, and not a man short, nor a horse, nor any of their equipment. As they drew near, Zhu Jiang went out of the city to welcome them. Thereupon Zhao Zilong hastily dismounted and bowed to the earth, saying, "The Prime Minister should not have come forth to welcome a defeated general." But Zhu Jiang lifted him up and took his hand and said, "Mine was the fault. Mine were the ignorance and unwisdom that caused all this. But how is it that amid all the defeat and loss you have come through unscathed?" And Deng Zhai replied, "It was because friend Zhao Zilong sent me ahead, while he guarded the rear and warded off every attack. One leader he slew, and this frightened the others. Thus nothing was lost or left by the way. A really great general," said Zhu Jiang. He sent Zhao Zilong a gift of 50 ounces of gold, and to his army 10,000 rolls of silk. But these were returned, as Zhao Zilong said, "All armies have accomplished nothing, and that is also our fault. The rules for reward and punishment must be strictly kept. I pray that these things be kept in store till the winter, when they can be distributed among the army." When the first ruler lived, he never tired of extolling Zhao Zilong's virtues. "The first ruler was perfectly right," said Zhu Jiang, and his respect for the veteran was doubled. Then came the turn of the four unfortunate leaders, Ma Su, Wang Ping, Wei Yan, and Gao Zhang, to render account. Wang Ping was called to the commander-in-chief's tent and rebuked. "I ordered you and Ma Su to guard Jieting. Why did you not remonstrate with him and prevent this great loss?" "I did remonstrate many times. I wished to build a rampart down in the road and construct a solid camp, but the councillor would not agree and showed ill temper. So I led 5,000 troops and camped some 3 miles off. When the army of Wei came in crowds and surrounded my colleague, I led my army to attack them a score of times. But I could not penetrate, and the catastrophe came quickly. Many of our troops surrendered, and mine were too few to stand. Wherefore I went to friend Wei Yan for help. Then we were intercepted and imprisoned in a valley, and only got out by fighting most desperately. We got back to my camp to find the enemy in possession, and so we set out for Liliu. On the road I met Gao Zhang, and we 3 tried to raid the enemy's camp, hoping to recover Jieting. But as there was no one soldier there, I grew suspicious. From a hill I saw Wei Yan and Gao Zhang had been hemmed in by the soldiers of Wei, so I went to rescue them. Thence we hastened to Yongping Pass to try to prevent them from falling. It was not that I failed to remonstrate, and you, O Prime Minister, can get confirmation of my words from any of the officers." Zhu Jiang bade him retire and sent for Ma Su. He came, bound himself, and threw himself on the earth at the tent door. Zhu Jiang got angry, saying, "You have filled yourself with the study of the books on war ever since you were a boy. You know them thoroughly. I enjoined upon you that Jieting was most important, and you pledged yourself and all your family to do your best in the enterprise. Yet you would not listen to Wang Ping, and thus you caused this misfortune. The army is defeated, generals have been slain, and cities and territory lost all through you. If I do not make you an example and vindicate the law, how shall I maintain the proper state of discipline? You have offended, and you must pay the penalty. After your death the little ones of your family shall be my care, and I will see that they get a monthly allowance. Do not let their fate cause you anxiety." Zhu Jiang told the executioners to take Ma Su away. Ma Su wept bitterly, saying, "Pity me, O Prime Minister. You have looked upon me as a son, I have looked up to you as a father. I know my fault is worthy of death, but I pray you remember how King Shen employed you after executing you's father. Though I die, I will harbor no resentment down in the depths of the 9 golden springs." Zhu Jiang brushed aside his tears and said, "We have been as brothers, and your children shall be as my own. I know what to do." They led the doomed man away. Without the main gate, just as they were going to deal the fatal blow, High Councillor Zhang Wan, who had just arrived from capital Chengdu, was passing in. He bade the executioners wait a while, and he went in and interceded for Ma Su. Formerly the king of Chu put Minister Cheng Duchen to death due to a defeat, and his rival Duke Wen of Jin rejoiced. "There is great confusion in the land, and yet you would slay a man of admitted ability. Can you not spare him?" Zhu Jiang's tears fell, but he said, "Sun Zai maintains that the one way to obtain success is to make the law supreme. Now confusion and actual war are in every quarter. If the law be not observed, how may rebels be made away with? He must die." Soon after they bore in the head of Ma Su as proof, and Zhu Jiang wailed bitterly. "Why do you weep for him now that he has met the just penalty for his fault?" said Zhang Wan. "I was not weeping then because of Ma Su, but because I remembered the words of the first ruler. At his last moment in Beidicheng he said, 'Ma Su's words exceed his deeds. Do not make much use of him. It has come true, and I greatly regret my want of insight. That is why I weep.'" Every officer wept. Ma Su was but 39, and he met his end in the 5th month of the 6th year of beginning prosperity, as 228. A poet wrote about him thus: "That was pitiful that he who talked so glib of war should lose a city fought most grave, with death as expiation at the gate. He paid stern law's extremest penalty. Deep grieved his chief," recalled the late prince's words. The head of Ma Su was paraded round the camps. Then it was sewn again to the body and buried with it. Zhu Jian conducted the sacrifices for the dead and read the oration. A monthly allowance was made for the family, and they were consoled as much as possible. Next, Zhu Jiang made his memorial to the throne and bade Zhang Wan bear it to the latter ruler. Therein Zhu Jiang proposed his own degradation from his high office. "Naturally a man of mediocre abilities, I have enjoyed your confidence undeservedly. Having led out an expedition, I have proved my inability to perform the high office of leader. Over-solicitude was my undoing. Hence happened disobedience at Jiating and the failure to guard the Gu Valley. The fault is mine in that I erred in the use of officers. In my anxiety, I was too secretive. The spring and autumn philosophy has pronounced the commander such as I am is blameworthy, and whither may I flee from my fault? I pray that I may be degraded 3 degrees as punishment. I cannot express my mortification. I humbly await your command." "Why does the Prime Minister speak thus?" said the latter ruler after reading the memorial. "It is but the ordinary fortune of war." Court Councillor Fei said the ruler must enhance the majesty of the law, for without law how can people support him? It is right that the Prime Minister should be degraded in rank. Thereupon an edict was issued reducing Zhu Jiang to the rank of General of the Right Army, but retaining him in the same position in the direction of state affairs and command of the military forces. Fei was directed to communicate the decision. Fei bore the edict into Hanzhong and gave it to Zhu Jiang, who bowed to the decree. The envoy thought Zhu Jiang might be mortified, so he ventured to felicitate him in other matters. "It was a great joy to the people of Shu when you, O Prime Minister, captured the 4 northwest counties," said he. "What sort of language is this? said Zhu Jiang, annoyed. Success followed by failure is no success. It shames me indeed to hear such a compliment. His Majesty will be very pleased to hear the acquisition of Zhongwei. This remark also angered Zhu Jiang, who replied, "It is my fault that a defeated army has returned without any gain of territory. What injury to Wei was the loss of Zhongwei?" Fei tried again, saying, "But with an army of 100,000 bold veterans, you can attack Wei again." Said Zhu Jiang, "When we were at Kishan and Gu Valley, we outnumbered the enemy, but we could not conquer them. On the contrary, they beat us. The defect was not in the number of soldiers, but in the leadership. Now we must reduce the army, discover our faults, reflect on our errors, and mend our ways against the future. Unless this is so, what is the use of a numerous army? Hereafter everyone will have to look to the future of his country. But most diligently each of you must fight against my shortcomings and blame my inefficiencies. Then we may succeed, rebellion can be exterminated, and merit can be set up." Fei Yi and the officers acknowledged the aptness of these remarks. Fei Yi went back to the capital, leaving Zhu Jiang in Hanzhong resting his soldiers and doing what he could for the people, training and heartening his troops and turning special attention to the construction of apparatus for assaults on cities and crossing rivers. He also collected grain and fodder and built battle rafts, all for future use. The spies of Wei got to know of these doings in the river lands and reported to Luoying. The ruler of Wei called Sima Yi to council and asked how Shu might be annexed. "Shu cannot be attacked," was the reply. "In this present hot weather they will not come out, but if we invade, they will only garrison and defend their strategic points, which we should find it hard to overcome. What shall we do if they invade us again? I have prepared for that. Just now Zhu Jiang shall imitate Han Xin, who secretly crossed the river into Chengqing. I can recommend a man to guard the place by building a rampart there and rendering it absolutely secure. He is a 9-span man, round-shouldered and powerful, a good archer and prudent strategist. He would be quite equal to dealing with an invasion." The ruler of Wei was very pleased and asked for his name. "His name is Hao Zhao, and he is in command at Hexi." The ruler of Wei accepted the recommendation, and an edict went forth promoting Hao Zhao to general who guards the west and sending him to command in the county of Chengqing. Soon after this edict was issued, a memorial was received from Cao Zhu, Minister of War and Commander of Yangzhou, saying that Zhu Fang, the Wu governor of Poying, wished to tender his submission and transfer his allegiance, and had sent a man to present a memorandum under 7 headings showing how the power of the Southland could be broken, and to ask that an army be dispatched soon. Cao Rui spread the document out on the couch that he and Sima Yi might read it. "It seems very reasonable," said Sima Yi. "Wu could be quite destroyed. Let me go with an army to help Cao Zhu." But from among the courtiers stepped out Jia Kui, who said, "What this man of Wu says may be understood in 2 ways. Do not trust it. Zhu Fang is a wise and crafty man, and very unlikely to desert. In this is some ruse to decoy our soldiers into danger." "Such words must also be listened to," said Sima Yi. "Yet such a chance must not be missed. You and Jia Kui might both go to the help of Cao Zhu," said the ruler of Wei. Sima Yi and Jia Kui went. A large army led by Cao Zhu moved to Huncheng. Jia Kui, assisted by General Man Chong and Governor Hu Zhai of Dongwen, marched to capture Yangcheng and facing the East Pass. Sima Yi led the 3rd Army to Zhongling. Now the Prince of Wu, Sun Quan, was at the East Pass in Wuching, and there he assembled his officers and said, "The governor of Poying, Zhu Fang, has sent up a secret memorial saying that Cao Zhu intends to invade. Zhu Fang has therefore set out a trap for Cao Zhu and has drawn up a document giving 7 plausible circumstances, hoping thereby to cajole the Wei army into his power. The armies of Wei are on the move in 3 divisions, and I need your advice." Liu Yang stood forth, saying, "There is only one man fit to cope with the present need. He is Liu Zun." So Liu Zun was summoned and made Grand Commander General, who pacifies the North Commander-in-Chief of all the state armies, including the Imperial Guards, and assistant in the royal duties. He was given the white banners and the golden axes, which denoted imperial rank. All officers, civil and military, were placed under his orders. Moreover, Sun Quan personally stood beside him and held his whip while he mounted his steed. Having received all these marks of confidence and favor, Liu Zan wanted 2 persons to be his assistants. Sun Quan asked their names, and Liu Zan said they are Zhu Huan, general who fortifies Paris, and Guanzhong, general who calms the south. These 2 should be in command. Sun Quan approved and appointed Zhu Huan and Guanzhong as left commander and right commander respectively. Then the Grand Army, comprising all the forces of the 81 counties of the Southland and the levies of Jingzhou, 700,000 troops in total, was assembled and marched out in 3 divisions, Liu Zan in the center, with Zhu Huan and Guanzhong supporting him left and right with the other 2 columns. Then said Zhu Huan, Cao Zhu is neither able nor bold. He holds office because he is of the blood. He has fallen into the trap laid by Zhu Fan and marched too far to be able to withdraw. If the commander-in-chief will smite, Cao Zhu must be defeated. Defeated, he must flee along 2 roads, one Jiaxi on the left, the other Gichai on the right, both of which are precipitous and narrow. Let me and my colleague go to prepare an ambush in these roads. We will block them and so cut off their escape. If this Cao Zhu could be captured, and a hasty advance made, success would be easy and sure. We should get Shaochen when searching, and Luoyang can be seen. This is the one chance in the 1,000. I do not think the plan good, said Liu Zan. I have a better one. Zhu Huan resented the rejection of his scheme and went away. Liu Zan ordered Zhu Jin and certain others to garrison Jiangling and oppose Sima Yi, and made all other dispositions of forces. Cao Zhu neared Huancheng, and Zhu Fan came out of the city to welcome him and went to the general's tent. Cao Zhu said, I received your letter and the memorandum, which was most logical, and sent it to His Majesty. He has set in motion accordingly 3 armies. It will be a great merit for you, sir, if the Southland can be added to His Majesty's dominions. People say you are abundant in craft, but I do not believe what they say, for I think you will be true to me and not fail. Zhu Fang wept. He seized a sword from one of his escort and was about to kill himself, but Cao Zhu stopped him. Still leaning on the sword, Zhu Fang said, as to the 7 things I mentioned, my regret is that I cannot show you all. You doubt me because some persons from Wu and why have been poisoning your mind against me. If you heed them, the only course for me is to die. Heaven only can make manifest my loyal heart. Again he made to slay himself, but Cao Zhu in trepidation threw his arms about him, saying, I did not mean it. The words were uttered in jest. Why do you act thus? Upon this, Zhu Fan with his sword cut off his hair and threw it on the ground, saying, I have dealt with you with sincerity, sir, and you joke about it. Now I have cut off the hair, which I inherited from my parents, in order to prove my sincerity. Then Cao Zhu doubted no more, but trusted him fully and prepared a banquet for him, and when the feast was over, Zhu Fan returned to his own. General Jia Kui came to Cao Zhu, and when asked whether there was any special reason for the visit, he said, I have come to warn you, Commander, to be cautious and wait till you and I can attack the enemy together. The whole army of Wu is encamped at Huancheng. You mean you want to share in my victory? Sneered Cao Zhu. It is said Zhu Fan cut off his hair as a pledge of sincerity. That is only another bit of deceit. According to the spring and autumn annals, Yao Lai cut off his arm as a pledge of loyalty before he assassinated Prince King Jai. Mutilation is no guarantee. Do not trust Zhu Fan. Why do you come to utter illumined words just as I am opening the campaign? You destroy the spirit of the army, said Cao Zhu. In his wrath, he told the lictors to put Jia Kui to death. However, the officers interceded, saying, before the march, killing our general is not favorable to the army. O Commander, spare him until after the expedition. And Jia Kui was reprieved, but he was not assigned any part in the campaign, and his troops were left in reserve. Cao Zhu himself went away to the East Pass. When Zhu Fan heard that Jia Kui had been broken, he rejoiced in his heart, saying if Cao Zhu had attended to his words, then Wu would have lost. Heaven is good to me and is giving me the means of achieving great things. Then he sent a secret messenger to Huan Sheng, and Liu Zhan knew that the time had come. He assembled the officers for orders. Liu Zhan said, "Shiding, lying over against us, is a hilly country fit for preparing an ambush. It will be occupied as suitable to array our army and await the coming of Wei. Zhu Sheng is to be leader of the van, and the army will move there." Now Cao Zhu told Zhu Fang to lead the way for his attack. While on march, Cao Zhu asked, "What is the place lying ahead?" Zhu Fang replied, "Shiding, a suitable place to camp in." So a great camp was made there. But soon after, the scouts reported, "Wu soldiers, unknown in number, have camped among the hills." Cao Zhu began to feel alarmed, saying Zhu Fang said there were no soldiers. Why these preparations? Cao Zhu hastily sought Zhu Fang to ask him, but was told, "Zhu Fang has gone away with a few dozen riders. No one knows whither." "I have been deceived and am in a trap," said Cao Zhu, now very repentant of his easy confidence. "However, there is nothing to fear." Then he made his arrangements to march against the enemy, and when they were complete and the array drawn up, Zhang Pu, the leader of the van, rode out and began to rail at the men of Wu. "Rebel leader, come and surrender," cried Zhang Pu. Then rode out Zhu Sheng and fought with him. But Zhang Pu was no match for Zhu Sheng, as was soon evident, wherefore he led his troops to retire. "Zhu Sheng is too strong," said Zhang Pu when he saw Cao Zhu. "Then will we defeat him by a surprise," said Cao Zhu. He sent Zhang Pu with 20,000 troops to hide in the south of Shiding, while another equal party under Zhu Kai was sent north. And Cao Zhu arranged, saying, "Tomorrow I will lead 1,000 soldiers to provoke the troops of Wu into battle. Then I will feign defeat and lead them to the hills in the north, when a bomb will explode and a three-pronged ambush will bring us victory." And the other side, Liu Zhan called his two generals, Hu Huan and Guanzhong, and said, "Each of you is to lead 30,000 troops and take a cross-cut from Shiding to the enemy's camp. Give a fire signal behind the camp on arrival, and then the main army will advance to the camp's front for a double attack." As evening fell, these two moved out their troops, and by the middle of the second watch both had got behind the camp of Wei. Due to darkness, Zhang Pu, Cao Zhu's general, who was there in ambush, did not recognize that the troops who approached him were enemies, but went as to meet friends, and was at once slain by the blade of Zhu Huan. The soldiers of Wei then fled, and Zhu Huan lit his signal fires. Guanzhong, marching up, came across the northern ambush under Zhu Kai. Guanzhong began a battle at once, and the troops of Wei were soon put to flight. Both the armies of Wu pursued, and confusion reigned in Cao Zhu's camp, troops fighting with others of their own side, and slaying each other. Cao Zhu despaired and fled toward Jiaxi. Zhu Sheng with a strong force came along the high road and attacked, and the soldiers of Wei killed were very many. Those who escaped did so by abandoning all their armors. Cao Zhu was in straits, but he struggled along the Jiaxi road. Here came a cohort into the road from the side. It was led by Jie Kui. Cao Zhu's alarm gave place to shame on meeting Jie Kui. "I took no notice of what you said, and so this evil came upon me," said he. Jie Kui replied, "Commander, you should quickly get out of this road, for if the troops will block it, we shall be in grave danger." So Cao Zhu hastened while Jie Kui protected his retreat, and Jie Kui ordered his soldiers to set flags and banners up among trees and in thickets and along by paths, so as to give an impression of having many men posted all round. Wherefore, when Zhu Shen came in pursuit, he thought the country was full of ambushing men and dared not proceed far. So he gave up the pursuit and retired. By these means Cao Zhu was rescued, and finally Sima Yi withdrew his army upon the news of Cao Zhu's defeat. In the meantime, Liu Zhan was awaiting news of victory. Soon Zhu Sheng, Zhu Huan and Guanzhong came and reported their successes, and they brought great spoil of carts and bullocks, horses and mules, and military material and weapons. And they had also 10,000 prisoners. There was great rejoicing, and Liu Zhan with Zhu Fang led the army home into Wu. On their return, Sun Quan, the prince of Wu, came out with a numerous cortege of officers to welcome the victors. An imperial umbrella was borne over the head of Liu Zhan as they wended their way homeward. When the officers presented their felicitations, Sun Quan noticed that Zhu Fang had no hair. Sun Quan was very gracious to him, saying, "This deed of yours and the sacrifice you made to attain it will surely be written in the histories." He made Zhu Fang the lord of the gate within. Then there were great feastings and greetings and much revelry. Lu Xun said, "Cao Zhu has been thoroughly beaten, and the soldiers of Wei are cowed. I think now is an occasion to send letters into Shu to advise Yu Zhang to attack Wei." Sun Quan agreed, and letters were sent to the riverlands, the east successful in one fight, would unto or the west in sight. The next chapter will say if Yu Zhang once more tried to overcome Wei.